Welcome to the episode, The Limbic System. In this episode, we will take a closer look at what the limbic system consists of that is interesting when it comes to stress. The information has the purpose to provide you an insight of why you feel as you do after being in close contact with a narcissist. Also that it is natural what you experience. I hope when you get this insight, you also will find some peace by getting an understanding of how we humans actually are functioning when we are under stress. And that is normal what you experience after the meeting with the narcissist. The narcissist was simply triggering this very old surviving system we developed many years ago to survive dangerous situations. At that time, it was, for example, hostile bears in the woods. When you want to reflect over situations where your narcissist has exposed you to psychological or physical violence, you can imagine standing in front of a dangerous bear, and you will then understand why your body and brain reacts as it do when the limbic system is active. You will in this episode get an insight into what parts of the brain that are in play, the names of their parts, where they are located, and what functions they have when it comes to stress. The most relevant brain parts are amygdala, hypothalamus, hippocampus, frontal cortex, and cerebral cortex. The limbic system is, as I mentioned, our danger system. They are support us to survive dangerous situations. The system is an automatic system. It reacts automatically and responds really fast. There are not many things you can do when first the system is activated. The activation happens in the part of the brain called amygdala. This is the trigger part of the system, and this is the button the narcissist is pushing on when you are exposed to psychological or physical violence. So amygdala is the part of the brain that detects the danger and starts the system. But it also has a function that can remember dangers. It's really smart to remember that a bear or a hot cooking plate can harm you. The problem when it comes to narcissistic abuse is that when a narcissist has found and identified a way to trigger your alarm button, the memory function does that the narcissist can trigger your system again and again. When a danger is detected, amygdala passes the alarm to hypothalamus. There is our communication center. Hypothalamus will then activate or deactivate a lot of functions in our brain and body. There, in the end, will release a reaction from the back end of our brain, close to the brainstem, as you can see here on the monitor. It's the purple part. This part of the brain is called cerebral cortex and is the home of some of our automatic functions as breathing and heartbeats. But it's also the home for fight, flight and freeze function. There will decide how we act on the alarm detected by amygdala. When amygdala is activated regularly, or shall we say too often, which is the situation when you are too close to a narcissist, amygdala will physically grow in size. That has been verified by brain scans. If pushed too often, it will also be more sensitive, and that is one of the factors. If you have found yourself to be more stressed in general and make it maybe trigger too fast in some situations. As I mentioned earlier, amygdala passes the alarm to hypothalamus. There is a part of our communication center. Hypothalamus will then prepare our brain and body to handle the dangerous situation by sending signals to other parts of the brain and relevant body functions. So our brain and body is set to handle the dangerous situation by activating the things we need and deactivating all the things we don't need. At the same time, signals are sent around in the body to release our stress hormones. The important ones we will have a look at in the next episode. Let's first have a look at what part of the body hypothalamus will prepare. Hypothalamus will send signals to our muscles to be ready to run or fight. That is simply why it's normal that people exposed to a narcissist suffer from what we call walking on eggshells and have the muscle tensions where it can be very difficult to relax. Also, our lungs are ordered to be prepared and be ready to take the first big inhale when we start to run or fight. And that's the reason why it's normal that people exposed to a narcissist is not breathing correctly, but only use the upper parts of the lungs, which leave the air in the lower parts of the lungs with air of poor quality. The situation can on a high level give you asthma symptoms and you can feel breathing issues. To prepare the fight, hypothalamus will also regulate the body energy consumption. The system will simply deactivate or lower the use of energy in our system that's not important for surviving the situation. For example, is our stomach using a lot of energy processing the food we eat. This energy consumption is lowered, so our muscles get prioritized. This process is the mother of the saying, "I got so scared that I almost shit my pants." The regulation of our digestion process also result in other problems, and we will address them in the episode Symptoms later in the program. Hypothalamus will also reduce the blood transportation to our outer skin, simply to protect us if we get a wound during a fight. Thereby will we limit the blood loss, and as you probably already guessed, the process is the mother of the saying, "He got so scared that his face went pale." Hypothalamus is also deactivating or lowering the communication activity. The system here is the body-brain communication. Under normal stress situations, our body constantly communicate with our brain regarding the need of maintaining the body. Relevant here is the need of moisture and building blocks, as for example important vitamins and minerals. This process is also causing use of energy, but most important, it takes the focus of the brain to handle a dangerous situation. Shortly, the brain needs all the communication lines to handle the dangerous situation instead of maintaining the body. This shutdown is the reason why many victims of narcissistic abuse experience that they are not in contact with their body and that everything is happening in their head. I know it's already scary information and it will be worse. But don't worry, I will provide all the tools needed to change the situation and come back to normal by resetting all the triggers. Let's have a look at how hypothalamus affects our brain when the limbic system is activated. It is not only our body that has to be adjusted to the dangerous situation. Also our brain functions must be in survival mode. The next brain part we shall have a closer look at is hippocampus. Hippocampus is the home of our solution and short-time memory. Hippocampus is the part of our solution system in cooperation with prefrontal cortex. Under normal circumstances, hippocampus comfort the brain and body by defending us against stress, by identifying solutions and regulate the body. But when overactivated, hippocampus will be damaged by the stress hormone cortisol, as we shall have a look at in the next chapter. Also is hypothalamus downregulating the activity in this part of the brain. It is simply not when facing danger we shall think about how we can build a better house or other things that need to be addressed. In a dangerous situation, we need to act fast without thinking too much. X-rays has shown that hippocampus is shrinking physically under long time exposure to stress. When that happens, you are in big trouble, and since the solution center is down, it is difficult to find a way out without help. So if you wonder why we are staying in the narcissistic relationship for so long, why you didn't see what was going on, You now know that it was your solution center that was negative influenced by the stress from the narcissist. As I mentioned, the hippocampus is working together with the frontal cortex that is located in our forehead. The process is that we get our good ideas in hippocampus, but the good ideas must be evaluated. And that happens when hippocampus send the good idea to our prefrontal cortex that will approve or reject the idea. You will probably recognize the situation where you get a good idea and then 3-4 seconds later you will think, nah, that's not a good idea. And then you have to come up with a new solution. Under stress, as you are a lot when being too close to a narcissist, your solution system will be more and more ineffective. You will having problems to solve challenges and also get problems with your memory. But that's not all. Let's have a look at the frontal cortex that works so close with hippocampus. The prefrontal cortex is in cooperation with our middle right brain, evaluating the ideas from hippocampus, but it's also the home of empathy. Under high or long-time stress exposure, the function is reduced and will provide poor evaluations and lower your empathy. Now you can come into more trouble that again will increase the stress level, and the circle is complete. The combination of the sensitive amygdala and the reduced function of your empathy center can easily bring you into situations you not normally would be in. And it's exactly why many victims of narcissistic abuse get the idea that maybe it's them that is the narcissist. Maybe you are thinking the narcissist is bad, but I also did some bad things. Here you must stop yourself and rethink. The narcissist is acting with low empathy every day. Your situation is temporary. So if you have been in situations where you acted out of your normal frame, it is temporary and it's caused by the stress situation the narcissist put in you. As an example, it can be a little thing where one of the kids spilled some milk at the table. If you are stressed, your reaction can be that you yell at the child, and afterwards you will feel bad for reacting too harsh against the kid in the situation. If you have had any similar situations, don't blame yourself. You are not a bad person. It was the stress that triggered the situation. But we will address the symptoms deeper in an upcoming chapter. You do now have a short insight of the brain's functions relating to narcissistic stress. In the next chapter, we will look at the stress hormones that also are regulated by the brain. If you want more information about the brain parts involved of the limbic system in general, spend some time on the internet. There is plenty of information to find. That's all for now. See you in the next chapter.